I'm often asked by people how to identify the different models of XKs. The fundamental design of these cars stayed the same right throughout the production, from the XK120 in 1948 all the way to when the XK150 ended in 1961. But there are a lot of differences, and in this video I'm going to go over how to identify the different models. You can get into some really deep detail on these differences, and I will do a deep dive in another video going into the specifics of each model, but for today we're going to go over the broad differences that will help you pick out the model. To start with, we have XK120, XK140 and XK150. The XK120 over here was the earliest iteration of the XK, and just looking at it you can see it must have blown people away when it was launched in 1948. The very early cars were aluminium bodied. This is a steel bodied example, though quite an early version with the chrome sidelights. The way to spot yourself an XK120 is to look at the bumpers for a start. They have these slim bumpers where the later cars went over to wider bumpers. They also have this beautiful fluted grille. The whole thing is more bare and simplified than the later cars. The XK120 has cleaner body lines. It doesn't have the chrome strip down the middle like the XK140 and XK150. You can also spot them from the split windscreen, which did carry over into the 140. The XK120 mechanically was a fantastic car in its time, though it did have its limitations, particularly for taller drivers. The engine was further back in the XK120, which pushed the footwell further back, meaning that anyone much over 6 foot struggles to fit comfortably in them. There are upgrades we can do. We've done a video on our pedal box conversion and bucket seats, which you can watch, which gives more room to the taller driver. For each model, there are 3 body styles as well. So this is an XK120 OTS or Roadster. Next to it we have a 140 drop head, and at the end we have a 150 fixed head. So in each model there is a OTS, a drop head coupe and a fixed head coupe model. The XK120 OTSs were quite simply finished with a hood that you have to pull out from behind the seats, a leather dashboard and crash roll. Fixed heads and drop heads have a walnut dashboard, winding windows, and drop head has a proper padded hood, which makes it much more comfortable inside. Mechanically, the chassis stayed pretty much the same across the range, but the 120 had a steering box and drum brakes all the way round, and these were improved as the models progressed. Heading over here to our XK140. As I say, this is an XK140 drop head coupe. So it has the walnut dashboard, winding windows and padded folding hood. This again was available in a OTS or a fixed head version. Visually they look quite similar to the 120. The nice sweeping line remains. This car is finished with steel wheels and spats, which were again available on the 120, and most XKs were produced like that. It was only later that a lot of them have been converted to wire wheels, though the SE spec cars had wire wheels. You can spot a 140 as opposed to a 120 by looking at the bumpers, which are obviously chunkier, and the cast grille. There's also more chrome on an XK140, so you've got this strip down the bonnet. There's also a strip on the boot. The biggest advantage of the 140 over the 120 though is some of the mechanical changes they made. So they moved the engine further forward, which to some people may sound like a disadvantage, but actually putting that weight slightly further forward improved the handling of the cars. They also converted them to rack and pinion steering, which is a significant improvement over the steering box in the 120. Moving the engine further forward allowed them to move the bulkhead further forward, giving the driver more legroom. So a lot of people find the 140 a much more comfortable car. The 140 drop head has for a long time been the most popular model we find in terms of sales. It's that combination of the classic sweeping lines, but that bit more practicality with a bit more cabin space, rack and pinion steering, padded hood that you can fold back quickly by yourself, and the winding windows. People love that combination of practicality and open motoring. The beauty of an XK drop head right across the range is that they do keep you really quite dry, where a lot of their competitors would really leak with the hood up, and it's quite hard work getting the hoods up and down. These, you can get the hood up and down in a couple of minutes by yourself. They seal up quite well, and they are a nice, comfortable, quiet place to be. We then moved on in 1957 to the XK150, which does look quite strikingly different to the 120 and 140, though the chassis remained largely the same. In terms of the bodywork, there were quite significant changes. You can see this is a much straighter line across the wing. They brought the wing line up and added a section in below. This bonnet has a bulge in it with this chrome strip along the top. They made the bonnets wider, fitted this bigger grille. Obviously it's got the bigger bumpers as per the XK140. The most obvious difference is the single piece windscreen on the XK150. By the XK150, right across the range, they'd lost the walnut dash and had a leather dash. Mechanically, the XK150 really started to move things forward. It featured groundbreakingly disc brakes on all four wheels, which was a big step forward. This obviously had been pioneered by Jaguar in their racing C-types and D-types. There was also an option for a 3.8 litre engine over the 3.4 litre engine, and then they also did the S variant of the XK150, which had either a 3.4 or 3.8 litre engine, but with a straight port cylinder head, triple carbs and other performance focused upgrades. That engine went on to power the E-types. This straighter line down the wing allowed for more cabin space, making it a much more comfortable car for taller drivers. The XK150, I would argue, is the ultimate version of the XK range, especially in S-spec like this. It's a fabulous thing to drive. With an overdrive gearbox and these disc brakes, you can cruise all day long. It's a great machine on B roads. It keeps up with traffic. It's comfortable, just ticks all the boxes. Which version of the XK range you should buy really depends on your use case and what takes your fancy, how you want to enjoy the car. What I want you to take away from this video is that there is an XK pretty much for everyone. There's these three models, and then within the three models, you've got the three body styles. So there really is something for everyone. If the XK120 takes your fancy, but you think, really, I need to have disc brakes and rack and pinion steering, don't worry. Those are upgrades we can do. We can make an XK120 drive just as well as an XK150. Now we will do a deep dive into each of these models, getting into the nitty gritty and geeky detail of the differences, and we will look at the different body styles as well, and we will look in detail at S-spec 150s. If you're interested in our upgrades, we've already done a series of videos on those, so please do have a look at our channel. We do loads of videos on XKs, we get out and drive them, we do technical how-to videos. So please go have a watch of a couple more. If you find them interesting, why not click subscribe or follow us, and you will see what we've got coming up. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one.